Merci, Jean-Marc. It's great to be back in Alliston to see all the amazing work that you've done since the last time we've been here in terms of building a stronger future, not just for the amazing folks who work in this plant, but for all Canadians. I want to recognize Francesco from our team, who never stops standing up for workers and families as head of the Auto Caucus. Just over a year ago, I was here to share big news for workers at this plant. With federal government support, we helped secure a historic investment from Honda Canada to upgrade production lines to make hybrid electric cars. These hybrids are now rolling off the line. We invested here because we knew it mattered to support thousands of jobs in Alliston and thousands more across the supply chain while growing a strong Canadian economy and delivering cleaner air for generations to come. But of course, being here a year ago was just the start. Last week, we released Budget 2023. It's a made-in-Canada plan for great jobs, to make life affordable for the middle class, to build a clean economy while fighting climate change, and to invest in Canadians' health. Cette semaine et la semaine dernière, j'ai parlé avec des familles qui vont profiter du régime canadien de soins dentaires, des gens qui vont recevoir le nouveau remboursement pour l'épicerie, des travailleurs qui vont bénéficier de nouvelles opportunités grâce à nos investissements dans les technologies propres. Le budget 2023 va permettre de créer de bons emplois et de soutenir les travailleurs en faisant croître une économie prospère pour l'avenir. Budget 2023 invests in Canadians like the proud auto workers here today. For example, the Clean Technology Manufacturing Tax Credit will provide up to 30% support for investments in new machinery and equipment for a range of clean technologies and the resources that go into them. We're also investing in clean electricity, carbon capture, tradespeople tool expenses, to name a few. And part of this budget is for the very first time tying tax credits to labor requirements to make sure that these great middle-class jobs continue to be well paid so you can support your families and the communities you call home. Workers built Canada's middle class. Budget 2023 makes sure you can keep building Canada's future. In the last year, we've landed historic business investments, the latest which is massive, is the massive Volkswagen battery plant coming to St. Thomas. We got these deals done because we believed in the quality of Canadian workers, and we continue to have their backs. Now, Conservative politicians say they're going to oppose this budget, opposing this plan for great careers, opposing this plan to create a clean economy and fight climate change, opposing the plan to make life more affordable for people. Well, we'll keep fighting for workers, for families, for people in the middle class, and working hard to join it. Le budget de cette année s'appuie sur le travail qu'on fait depuis les 7 dernières années et demie pour bâtir une économie en croissance avec de bons emplois pour la classe moyenne, pour s'assurer que le Canada soit compétitif et pour soutenir les gens en investissant dans les garderies à 10 $ par jour, l'amélioration des soins de santé et de meilleures pensions pour les personnes âgées. Again, it's great to be back here today to see the great work you're all continuing to do to care for your families, support your communities, and most importantly, build a great future for all Canadians. Thank you very much for everything. It's a pleasure to be here. Merci tout le monde. I'm now happy to pass it over to Francesco to talk about some of the local impacts. Francesco.
Thank you, Prime Minister. It's great to be with you today, and good morning, everyone. It's great to be here this morning, along with the entire team from Honda again. Frankly, it's an exciting day, and it's an exciting time for Canada's automotive industry. Thank you to Jean-Marc Leclerc for your hospitality. We've been visited here many times, and the entire Honda team for today's tour, but more importantly, for your over 50-year commitment to Canada and the investments in the products your team members here produce. In fact, Honda's team has built nearly 10 million vehicles here in Canada and sold over 5 million vehicles to Canadians. These results are a true testament to the hard work of your employees and the success of your products, including the CRV, which of course is produced right here at this facility. We know, as Canadians, that the transition in the global automotive industry is happening right now, today, in this world, and that Honda is at the forefront in this transition with industry-leading fuel efficiency and fleet emissions. As chair of the Auto Caucus, my colleagues and I have visited and met with many industry participants, including right here with the team at Honda. And the one key theme that I must underscore, and I cannot say enough of, is that Canada is positioned to be a leader in this transition. Whether it is at the assembly operations here in Alliston, the thousands of spin-off jobs from operations such as this, which the ratio is about for every one job here at Alliston, there are 9 jobs created for Canadians throughout the various communities across Canada. In York Region, companies such as Magna, Martin Rea, the natural resources we are blessed with, including our essential critical minerals, and of course, the final factor, which I would say is the most important, is our people, the people to my left, and the incredible talents and skills they possess. We all know that this transition that is occurring is to a clean economy. But what does that actually mean? For me, it's quite simple. It is about creating jobs and bright futures for Canadians and their families, our friends, our neighbors. And I am proud to be part of a government that understands that. I wish to congratulate the team here at Honda on the successful retooling and ongoing retooling of the facility, for believing in Canadians and Canada, and the ongoing collaboration with all levels of government. Thank you.
Nous allons maintenant commencer avec la période de questions. We'll now start with the press conference. La première question est à Radio-Canada. La parole est à vous.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Merci d'accepter la question. Certains membres de la communauté sino-canadienne vous accusent de double standard parce que quand la Russie a envahi l'Ukraine, ça a été très rapide pour que le gouvernement bannisse RT en disant que ça faisait de la désinformation pour le Kremlin. Comment ça se fait que la CCTV, qui appartient au département de propagande du Parti communiste chinois, est encore autorisée à diffuser au Canada?
La Russie a envahi l'Ukraine, a choisi de violer les principes et les règles des Nations Unies, a envahi un pays voisin et mis fin à 80 ans de stabilité, de prospérité dans l'ère après-guerre. Et le monde entier s'est rassemblé pour mettre des sanctions sur la Russie, pour repousser contre les actions illégales, illégitimes de Vladimir Poutine et de ses alliés. C'est un enjeu extrêmement sérieux et le niveau de propagande que la Russie partageait avec ses citoyens pour partager des mensonges sur cette guerre a exigé qu'on prenne une étape très importante, mais sérieuse, de bannir des voies pour la propagande et des outils de propagande russes. Oui, on a énormément de défis et de préoccupations par rapport à la Chine, j'en ai souvent parlé, mais de comparer ce que la Russie est en train de faire en tuant les gens en Ukraine, en envahissant un pays voisin, c'est tout à fait différent.
En même temps, il y a déjà eu une plainte il y a 3 ans et demi disant que la CCTV diffusait de l'information des confessions arrachées par la torture. Alors pourquoi ne pas agir? Pourquoi ne pas demander au ministre de...
On continue d'être extrêmement préoccupé par les violations des droits de la personne commis par le régime chinois, que ce soit en Xinjiang, que ce soit les façons qu'ils traitent les activistes pro-démocratiques à Hong Kong, que ce soit l'utilisation de détention coercitive, comme on a vu avec les 2 Michael. On n'a jamais hésité de repousser contre la Chine et de souligner à quel point c'est important de dire la vérité et de tenir compte de ce qui se passe. On va continuer de le faire.
Good morning, Prime Minister. I was wondering if you can address why Canada is violating its own policy framework on returning detainees from Syria by refusing to let a Canadian mother join her 6 children on a flight home due to leave soon.
The situation in northeastern Syria is incredibly volatile. It is of real concern to everyone around the world, and Canada is watching very, very closely and engaged with all of our responsibilities in that. But for obvious reasons, I will not be commenting any further on this issue.
Winnipeg police are investigating the death of a First Nations woman, Linda Mary Beardy, after her remains were found in a city landfill. 3 years after the national inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, why is this still happening?
My heart goes out to the community in Winnipeg, to the families of the woman who was killed and left in this way. It is heartbreaking to see this continue to happen. Indeed, over the past years, we have made significant investments and strides in countering gender-based violence, countering the epidemic of violence that continues to strike and the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. But there is more to do, and we will continue to be there with the community as it grieves, but we will also continue to be there to put an end to this unconscionable violence.
Next question.
Good morning. Good morning, Prime Minister. My name is Tessa. I'm from CBC News. There's a report out this week about the declining condition of 24 Sussex Drive. This time it's about a rodent infestation. Do you think this is embarrassing for Canada to see a heritage building like this falling apart? Why has it been so hard to decide what to do with the building?
Decisions about what happens in the parliamentary precinct and official residences belong to the National Capital Commission and the folks in charge of that. I made the decision a number of years ago not to move into that house and to ensure that my family lived in a smaller but better place in Rideau Cottage. We continue to work with public servants as they chart a path forward for the official residences.
The follow-up question will be that what needs to happen so that we can finally decide whether to fix that building or knock down and start over?
I know there have been ongoing consultations and important processes to balance the historical heritage nature of that building and the needs of government and of Canadians going forward. Those conversations are continuing within the NCC and the Department of Public Works. Okay. Je sais que les conversations continuent au niveau de la Commission de la capitale nationale, au niveau du département de services publics sur quel serait l'avenir de cette installation, de cette ancienne résidence officielle. Évidemment, ils vont équilibrer l'aspect patrimonial et historique de cette maison avec les besoins des Canadiens dans les années à venir. Pour moi, ma famille est bien installée dans une maison plus petite, mais plus sécuritaire dans Rideau Cottage.
Last question.
Mr. Prime Minister, Mike with CTV News Barrie. What is your message to folks here in the Alliston area, Simcoe County, Barrie, about the production of these vehicles? Let's say they're not a success and people aren't buying hybrid vehicles. Do we have a backup plan here?
I think people are understanding very clearly that the world is changing. And there's a source of a lot of anxiety for a whole bunch of people about how that world is changing. You need only look at the impacts of climate change, the impacts on the war in Ukraine, the impacts of a global economic slowdown, rising inflation and interest rates, the hangover on supply chains and so many different things from the pandemic. This is a time rife with anxiety for Canadians and for people all around the world. That's why the decisions we made in this last budget are focused on allaying those anxieties and building solutions for the future. On allaying those anxieties, we're stepping up in a targeted way to support Canadians who are having a really tough time right now. Whether it's the hundreds of dollars in the grocery rebate going to millions of Canadians across the country who need it, whether it's moving forward to lower credit card fees for small businesses, whether it's moving forward on delivering dental care for all Canadians, targeting specifically those $90,000 income and less who don't have insurance. We've already had 250,000 kids accessing dental care. At the same time as we're bringing down child care fees across the country. They've been cut in half in Ontario, and 6 provinces and territories already have seen $10 a day become a reality. These are things we're doing to support families right now in a difficult time, and we will continue to be there to recognize the challenges that families are facing. And it's a real shame that the Conservatives have already said not only that they oppose child care and that they oppose dental care, but that they're going to be voting against this budget with real supports for Canadians. But the other part of this budget is preparing those great jobs for the future, right here in Alliston and right across the country. Whether it's building the electric and hybrid vehicles that the world is going to need in the coming years. Whether it's securing the critical resources through mines and production facilities and battery production plants right across the country that deliver great jobs like the ones the associates here at Honda have. Whether it's moving forward on transforming our energy mix with more renewables, more nuclear, better options to continue to power the economy of the future without global emissions, we have a plan. And we've been bringing that plan in over the past 7 years, and we are seeing and feeling the impacts of that. The investments we made here at Honda in Alliston have resulted in great jobs that are going to last for a long time to come. This is all part of our understanding that the world is changing, and we need to both fight climate change and grow the economy at the same time. So when Conservative politicians continue to insist that there's a choice to be made between what's good for the environment and what's good for the economy, not only are they wrong, but they're harming hardworking families here in Alliston and across the country who are counting on the fact that installations like this continue to step up with cleaner, higher tech solutions that Canadians and indeed the world needs. The Conservative politicians that are amplifying people's fears, reflecting back anger and frustration that is very real from what have been a few difficult years for all Canadians, but not offering solutions and alternatives, is exactly the wrong kind of politics. As we look at what Canadians actually need, they need solutions. Solutions for the affordability crisis they're living right now. They need solutions for better health care, better dental care. And mostly, they need the great jobs for the middle class that a growing green economy is going to offer. That's where Canada is so well positioned. That's why we're bringing in investments from great big companies around the world like Honda and others to see that Canada has the path towards a stronger future for all Canadians. That's what's at stake in these coming years. That's why we continue to stand with Canadians into a brighter future for everyone. Because there wasn't a question on it, I do want to take a moment to speak about the situation in Israel. It's the holy month of Ramadan. It's Passover right now. And families, Israeli and Palestinian, deserve to be able to celebrate and reflect in peace and in security. That's why we deplore what's going on right now in Israel. We're extremely concerned with the inflamed rhetoric coming out of the Israeli government. We're concerned about the judicial reforms that have an awful lot of Israelis concerned as well. We're concerned by the violence around Al-Aqsa Mosque during this holy month. We need to see Israel, the Israeli government, shifting in its approach. And Canada is saying that as a dear and close and steadfast friend to Israel. We are deeply concerned around the direction that the Israeli government has been taking. At the same time, we absolutely and unequivocally condemn the rocket attacks from militants in Gaza. We need to see a de-escalation of violence. We need to see people living in peace and prosperity side by side. We need a return to opportunity and hope around stability in the Middle East for all who live there. And Canada will continue to be a voice for peace, for stability, for prosperity, for everyone in the region. Merci tout le monde.
This concludes today's press conference.